There was a period in my life when I woke up every morning, and honestly, I didn't even feel like starting a new day. On the outside, everything still looked completely normal. I still went to work, still replied to messages, still smiled whenever someone asked, "How have you been lately?" And every single time, I'd say, "Yeah, I'm good." But deep down, only I knew how empty I felt every night before falling asleep. It was this strange kind of exhaustion, the kind you can't really explain to anyone. Back then, I genuinely believed that if I just pushed myself harder, life would eventually get better. So I kept grinding, working overtime, chasing achievements, forcing myself to stay strong no matter what. But the harder I pushed, the more drained I became. There were days I sat in a crowded office, yet still felt unbelievably lonely. I started losing sleep, getting irritated over little things, feeling pressure every time I saw someone else succeeding. And I kept asking myself, why does life still feel this heavy, even though I'm trying so hard? I used to think the problem was me, that I wasn't talented enough, hardworking enough, good enough. Until one day, after spending almost an entire night awake, overwhelmed by stress and anxiety about the future, I randomly came across an online course called Living with the Flow: The Secret to a Peaceful and Fulfilling Life. At first, I only planned to watch it for a few minutes. But somehow, I ended up sitting there for more than 2 hours straight. Because for the first time in my life, it felt like someone was finally describing exactly what was happening inside me. The teacher in that course said something I'll never forget. Most people aren't suffering because they lack ability. They suffer because they're rowing their lifeboat against the current. That moment, I just froze. Then he explained it using the image of a boat drifting along a river. If the boat moves with the current, even without too much effort, it can still move forward. But if it goes against the current, even with a powerful engine, the person rowing will eventually burn out. And the moment they stop trying for even a second, the river pulls them backward again. Suddenly, I saw my entire life in that image. All this time, I thought life was something I had to fight against. I kept forcing myself to move faster, succeed faster, earn more money, get more recognition. I lived in comparison, in anxiety, in constant pressure to become some perfect version of myself. But never once did I stop and ask, what if I'm simply moving in the wrong direction? Then the teacher said, the most important thing isn't trying harder. It's understanding which direction your life should flow. After that, he talked about 3 areas of human understanding: our understanding of the universe, our understanding of the world, and our understanding of human life itself. He explained that the universe is too vast for humans to fully understand. The outside world can often be handled by experts. But our understanding of ourselves, that's something every person must face on their own. Because if you don't understand yourself, you can spend your entire life feeling lost. That sentence stayed in my mind for a very long time. I realized I had spent years trying to control everything outside of me, while completely ignoring what was happening inside me. I had never truly asked myself, what do I actually want? What genuinely brings me peace? Why do I always feel anxious? Why do I constantly need validation from other people? And then came the most important lesson of all. The teacher wrote these words on the screen: good seeds plus good connections equals a meaningful life. He said, most people spend their entire lives chasing the result: success, happiness, money. But they forget, every result begins with a seed. That day, I sat silently in front of my laptop for a very long time. And for the first time, I looked honestly at myself. I realized there were so many unhealthy seeds growing inside me that I had never noticed before. Impatience, jealousy, insecurity, resentment toward life, negativity toward myself. I wanted peace, but my mind was constantly chaotic. I wanted healthy relationships, yet I was always defensive and full of doubt. I wanted happiness, but every day, I kept planting stress and fear inside myself. And in that moment, I realized something painful. Maybe life wasn't fighting against me at all. Maybe I was the one creating resistance in my own life. From that day on, I slowly began changing little by little. I stopped trying to rush through everything. I learned to slow down, to sleep earlier, to rest when I was tired, to say thank you more often, to appreciate the people who genuinely cared about me. I stopped trying to prove my worth to everyone. Instead, I started taking care of my inner world the same way someone cares for a garden. I learned how to plant good seeds every single day. A more positive thought, a kinder word, a more genuine action. And strangely enough, as things inside me began to change, the world around me slowly changed too. I felt calmer. I slept better. My relationships became lighter and healthier. For the first time, I no longer felt like I had to constantly fight against life. And that was when I finally understood what it truly means to live with the flow. It's not about giving up. It's about understanding the natural flow of life. So you stop hurting yourself unnecessarily. Now I understand something I never saw before. Real freedom isn't about having everything. It's about no longer carrying so much resistance and chaos inside your heart. So if today, you also feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or emotionally lost, maybe it's not because you're weak. Maybe you've simply been rowing against the current for far too long. Try pausing for a moment. Look inward. Start planting better seeds from today onward. Because when the seed changes, the connections change. And eventually, the outcome changes too. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever gone through a lost and confusing chapter in your life like I did, leave a comment with the number 2 below as a reminder to yourself. I deserve a more peaceful life. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so we can continue this journey together, learning, awakening, and living more in harmony with life every single day.